Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on another episode of Slice of Healthcare. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Today I'm joined by Tom Policelli, the CEO at PayMedix. Tom, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's been an interesting week. It's good. Did a little bit of traveling with the American Telemedicine Conference happening
Nice.
recently in Boston. So it's definitely good to get home, get back in front of the mic, and record some content with you. So I think we should dive right into it. Would love if
Sure.
you could tell the audience, Tom, a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, basically, Jared, I'm a health insurance geek. Is the bottom line. I started right out of college with big insurance companies, and then went off and did a couple startups, a network company, co-founded a health plan with some friends of mine, and a consumer data analytics company. So, and I should say the unifying theme for the last little while for me has been consumer engagement. Because you spend enough time in healthcare and you realize that there's just so much going on. But if we don't get the consumers what they need and strip away the garbage that they don't need, we're never going to get more effective care, more efficient care, cost savings, none of it. So it's all about the consumer.
Love that. And so your background and your previous experience that helped lead to uh, PayMedix becoming a company. Can you talk us through? We always have every guest come on talk about three things in regards to their companies: the why, how, what. And this is not our structure. We took this from Simon Sinek. People don't care, what you do; they care about why you do it, how you do it, and then eventually what you do. So, would love to
Mhm.
hear that from you.
Sure. The why for me is because I did it wrong the first time. So I was all into consumer engagement, and this thing came out a while ago called consumer-driven healthcare. And the whole idea was like higher deductibles. Consumers now have more skin in the game, so they're going to be better consumers and they'll pay more attention. And it sounded logical. I bought it. And so I went to United and I ran the then fledgling consumer driven healthcare business, and the health savings accounts became law, and the whole thing took off. We bought our largest competitor. This was going great. And I'm thinking consumer engagement, this is what I signed up for, and we're doing it. The unfortunate reality, though, is that what we were doing was inadvertently creating a mess, because with the higher deductibles, consumers are now getting hit with a blizzard of paperwork that it made no sense to them whatsoever. And the more stuff we hit them with, I mean, all of us, the providers, the insurance companies, everybody, we're hitting them with so much junk that they just disengaged because none of it made any sense. So the whole point was to get them more engaged, and we failed. And so that's really what is behind PayMedix. PayMedix is all about stripping out the complexity and just getting people what they need.
And in regards to PayMedix, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the problems that you address. So, one of those being the confusion that comes from excessive paperwork that consumers have to complete. Can you talk a little bit more about that problem, and then
Sure.
how PayMedix helps in that area?
Sure. Yeah. So it turns out for consumers with high deductible plans, or really any plan, the number one issue for them is actually not financial. It is confusion. Financial is number two, but number one is confusion. They just don't get it. And so a simple example is, think someone goes in for a surgery, pre-scheduled, something not too complicated, going in for some knee surgery. They're going to get hit with bills from the hospital, the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the radiologist, everybody, and a lot of it's not going to make sense. They're going to get explanations of benefit that from the carrier that don't really explain very much. And then each of the providers is so concerned they won't get paid, they keep hitting you with more and more stuff. This is not a bill, it's an estimate, and they reconcile. And so the consumers just have no idea what to make of all this. So your typical family is going to receive 125, more than 125 pieces of mail regarding their health care in a given year. And they're going to do, most people do what I do, what is you get your bills, and every week, you sit down, you go through your bills, and you got another pile over here that's all your healthcare garbage because you know it's garbage, and you let it get really high, and then two or three times a year you sort it through, and we just make all that stuff go away. It has to go away.
It has to. I like how it has to go away.
Well, it has to, if
Uh,
we ever want consumers to pay, because think about it, what we've done as a system, again, everybody involved, the carriers, the providers, as a system, we've trained consumers to ignore us, which is exactly the wrong thing, right? We need to get people to be more engaged and to be in control and to feel in control. and we got to give them the information and the tools so they can be. So that's really what we do. So at high level, what we do is we strip away. You get the consumers don't get all that blizzard of paperwork. The EOBs go away. They get a simple monthly statement. It can be paper, electronic, whatever they prefer. That says here's everything that happened. So that surgery, the example you went for knee surgery, and it's all here's the surgery, which is what the consumer is looking for. They don't want to bill from everyone. People don't even remember. They don't know who the anesthesiologist was, right? Why should they?
Yeah, that's like when I mean, the nature of healthcare, right, is most of your healthcare happens in the earliest stages and then the latest stages of your life, and then it's kind of depending on if you have major surgeries or anything, kind of
Yeah,
at a state of a standstill throughout most of your life. But so we have as some elderly relatives where now they go through more surgeries and they're going to the doctor more, and there's always complaints about like I get these bills and it's like almost in a different language as far as how many items I'm seeing, like it just
yeah,
when you now it's almost like everyone's operating like a grocery store, right, where they're giving you every single broken down line item,
right.
but you shouldn't have to really think and have to decipher through these statements that you get as a consumer. It's just that's frustrating. um, a lot of healthcare in general is super frustrating, but
Right.
to we need to be simplifying the areas that don't have to be. So what you're saying makes total sense. I'd like to pivot now to
Sure.
talk a little bit about something that you and I were chatting a little bit about before we started recording, and this is you identified a shift in the relationship between providers and patients. Can you explain what that shift is, and kind of maybe where you see it heading?
So yeah, what unfortunately for the last bunch of years, providers have had to be more and more. They've become banks. Really, they're in the banking business. They bill, they collect, they in effect are extending credit, and so we're putting them into this administrative mess and financial mess that is really not their core business. And so the shift is we have to get them back to just delivering care. So they need to simply have patients come in who have a need that they can fill, and they bill for it and they get paid for their services at the whatever their negotiated rate is with whoever whatever network they negotiated. But they shouldn't be in this chase business. And unfortunately, what's been going on for the last couple of years is that technology has actually been misapplied. So we've been automating the stupid that is in the market today, and that's dangerous because by automating it, we're making it cheaper to do the wrong thing. We can do it faster and more effectively to send more garbage to people and get them to disengage. And so the move now is we just need to strip all of that away, and not just automate yesterday, but you have the more effective system where we can just get rid of that stuff. And so, again, in our model, we just make sure if you're the provider, you submit a claim, whatever that allowed charge is that was adjudicated, you're just going to get paid in full, period.
It's definitely an interesting approach and a better approach that you're taking than some of what you see that's out there today. And I think a big part of, correct me if I'm wrong, but this approach, I think you mentioned it earlier, is because of your past experiences, uh, it, being in the startup world, being in the space that we're in, right? It definitely helps to take those experiences and then learn from them and improve upon them, which is clear with what you're doing with PayMedix. Can you comment a little bit about you've obviously seen how things have progressed in the industry over the last couple years, but can you talk us through the future of healthcare payments through your eyes? Let us see, like, give us a little insight into what you're thinking healthcare payments will look like next 5, 10 years out.
Sure, no, it's a good question. I think what you're going to see is a cleansing, is kind of a simplification in the vendor world because there's been so many aspects of what goes on in healthcare and healthcare payments have been broken that a lot of point solutions have come into play to try to make this a little bit better or that a little bit better. And so, so back to this billing stuff, if you're the surgeon, you want to make sure you bill a little better. So you get in a little system that's going to help you figure out this guy means a call, then a text, then an email, then a physical mail, and then each of the providers then do it. So you're multiplying all of this, so you end up with is a plethora of point solutions that actually drive confusion up, engagement down, and makes everything more costly. And I think that's just going to get flushed out. There's too much of it, and I think people are starting to recognize that.
Interesting. Well, it'll be intriguing to see how things do progress over the next couple of years, and it'd be great to have you be able to come back on, and we can cover some of these other issues that you're seeing in the space, and then also maybe pair you up with other people in the industry and
Yeah.
kind of get your collective thoughts together. I really enjoy those panel type discussions because everyone kind of will either play off the other one for parts of it, but they'll also every now and then you'll have someone that kind of goes against the group, but everyone's still super interested in hearing that opinion because these are interesting conversations across the board.
No, I appreciate it, and yeah, I love this stuff. Like I said, to me, it's all the consumer, and too much of what's gone on in payments is focused on how to make transactions better. And transactions not the point. The point is the consumer and making sure they're getting what they need and they're not getting the junk. So yeah, I look forward to it. That'd be great. Thank you.
Well, Tom, thank you for being a guest. I really enjoyed our time here today. Wish you and PayMedix all the best of luck and can't wait to have you on again soon.
Great. Thank you very much.